Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the archived version of the developer commentary run of Mirror's Edge Catalyst that we did as a live stream. This run was done as part of a charity marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is presented without ads, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this content, please consider donating $1 or $2. You can find links that on the video and in the description. Enjoy.
What's the funniest glitch you had during development? I think the funniest glitches are always animation related.
Yeah, those are always good.
Yeah, I mean the for people that remember the Battlefield 3 giraffe neck soldiers running around, we had those in Mirror's Edge Catalyst too. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Basically anything that's anytime human animations screw up, they end up looking either terrifying or incredibly funny. So they're
both.
Or both. Yeah. I mean, we had NPCs in this game that they basically looked like Dead Space.
Oh yeah.
Xenomorphs. They were horrible.
Yeah, those are always good. There's a bunch of streaming problems that were pretty funny too, where it would troll you. So you would be on a swing, on a swing rope, and just as you were approaching the point where you were supposed to let go, it would unstream the area that you were jumping to.
Yes, that's always.
So you can swing towards this scaffold, and just as you're about to jump off, it just disappears. And then when you swing back, it comes back.
If the dev team had been given an extra 6 months with complete creative freedom, what do you think would have been included? I think the complete creative freedom is a bit...
Am I interrupting something?
We actually had quite a lot of creative freedom with this game. But there is always time and there is budget, etc., etc. And I think we had a few extra months for this game to get a lot of stuff in for release and for the downtown area and Anchor and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what we would. I guess we would maybe have added more side missions. I think that's
like last time.
Yeah, some of there were quite a few side missions at one point, and
yeah.
The thing that goes if you have to cut something from a game like this is a side mission. You don't cut a main mission, you cut a side mission, which means that some parts of the game lack the side mission that they should have. So those, I guess, would be added in. It also depends very much by, like, if you tell a dev team, hey, you get 6 more months.
Yeah.
What they do depends entirely on when in the process of making the game this is.
Yeah, exactly.
If it happened the last month of the project, the game would have been more polished, would have been, had a few more small things. If it happened earlier, it would have had bigger things, but maybe not so much polish.
Exactly. What's your favorite Easter egg? I'm so happy I got the time to write the Bad Company audio picks. I'm so happy we got that, and the audio guy said, we'll just get the original actors in. That was
great.
Super happy about that. Don't get lost.
When the game was released, people made a lot of complaints, and one of them was in regard to disabling the fans in the Zephyr station. You were quick and acting, is just making the angle. Yeah, that was a lot of my sort of work on the game. Well, I completely have lost the sense of timing for these landings. A lot of my work on like the post-release stuff was trying to smooth out those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite mission in the original Mirror's Edge? I'm gonna have to say, what was the name of that? The big indoor climb to the sniping place. Why is that word lost? The Atrium.
Atrium, yes. That one is great.
Yeah, the first time I played that, amazing.
That doesn't sound.
I also like jumping around in the God, I can't remember what anything is called. The waterworks type, the underground stuff with the where you basically have a great sense of vertigo, but you're underground and the snipers are firing at you. And I
Right,
love
yeah. It's also a good place.
Did you guys remember to feed Scruffy? I hope so.
Scruffy has all the food.
Storm drains, that's right.
Storm drains, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's names as a dev is really tricky.
Yeah.
This game is better for me than for most because most of the mission names have been set by the time I joined the product. But yeah, normally what you do when you work in a game is you work with temp titles. So stuff will be called this could be called the break-in mission or something.
Yeah.
And then once pretty late normally you get the names of things and you can't remember those names. You just remember your own temp internal names.
Yeah. I mean, we changed. We had dashes were called runners routes.
Oh right.
For years, and I think I've called them runners during this commentary. I think I called them runners dashes just. Or I mean, is it called Birdman's
routes? Right.
Routes. Yeah, it's still.
No, it's Birdman's Dash.
It is Birdman's Dash. Okay, because it was called Birdman's Route.
Yeah, for the longest of times.
Yeah, and. Yeah, but you usually work with some kind of dev name, and then you realize, okay, we're actually going to have to ship this. This cannot stay. We need a proper good name. But we, in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, the mission names were actually set really early. One interesting thing about back in the game is that initially, this break-in would be the first thing you do in the game.
That must have been before my time.
Yeah, that was before your time. And we had and it was completely different. The mission was, but the story breaks, the breakdown of the story where you encounter the antagonist, etc., and everything like that was there super early. And this elevator ride was in that first white box prototype mission.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So but the thing is, even though back in the game isn't for a typical Mirror's Edge player, it's not incredibly difficult. It was not the best mission to begin with because
I'm finishing this.
Lots of people that are used to ordinary first-person shooter games, they require a gentler curve.
Yeah, it is. The controls are very different from other games, and once you get used to them, you don't really think about it that much, but they really are.
Yeah.
Biggest change you made during the development? Actually, a thing with the beginning of the game is one of them. Probably not the biggest, but it's worth talking about. And the dream sequence that the game starts with was at one point supposed to be a first little playable section.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we sort of reduced it down by several steps, and then at one point just went, no, this is an easy cut now. We need to, for many technical constraints and for many implementation, and just from many different views, it was best to not include it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, we got the tutorial stuff ended up in release instead.
Yes.
The parts of it that were the tutorial thing, and I think the initial dream cutscene does the job anyway.
I think it turned out really good.
Yeah.
But there was a whole section there, and it was supposed to be in a different part of the city, and you were supposed to play the same section 3 times over. Was it?
Yeah, we're gonna visit that section actually. It's still in the game.
It's still there, but it's not in that shape. No. So you play the same section 3 times over with a small difference in the layout and a big difference in the feeling. Yeah. And we had it white boxed, and nobody really ever sort of got it. And we were just at one point, this is going to take so much work to finish off to quality.
And I think that's that's one of the good. I mean, it often sounds like when people discuss, what was cut from a game and what, it often sounds like, it was cut and that's bad. But this was that was a cut that was absolutely.
Oh yeah, like all cuts are not because you can't afford to make stuff.
No, I mean, there's tons of stuff, cut, years before we shipped the game because they just weren't good and they were never going to be. All game developers have good ideas and bad ideas, and the bad ideas, they just need to go.
And sometimes you have good ideas, but when you make them, you feel this isn't fitting into this part of the game, or this doesn't fit here, or this is not something like we thought this would be awesome, but it turns out we can't make it.
Yeah.
Another big change in the game is pretty much at the point where I took over the technical design director role. There was a big change that we were implementing in the game where it would be staged, you could say. So you would have a mission like this, like back in the game, and then you would be let out into the world. It would open up the world with side missions and small missions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it would require you to gather a number of...
Oh, yeah.
Reputation was the currency we used. So get your reputation up to this level, and then you can continue with the main story.
Yeah.
So that was a massive change. We ended up with a big spider-like tree of the entire game instead, where what leads to what is displayed.
And that was actually also a very good call.
I think that was a good call. There was a lot of heated discussion before we actually went and did that.
I really liked the thought of reputation and basically it becomes a bit more of a, I guess, grinding, but I say grinding with a positive slant to it, because I like that idea, but it didn't fit with this game. That was just it was the wrong mechanic for this type of game. So it was a great thing to take it out.
Faith, are you there?
Yeah, I think the end result.
Just get out any way you can.
When you look at this, it feels like why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
But when you approach it from the other side of we have this, and shall we? Because you're sort of streamlining the game, you're making it a bit less of player choice. You're just going, hey, do these things in this order instead of getting to choose what you want to do. Because of course the end result of doing that, is that you would. We took some of the stuff that was supposed to be optional and made it part of the main mission chain instead, part of the critical path.
Yeah. No, it was the right thing to do. Oh, this. So I'm probably a few seconds behind you now, but this whole this chase through the escape, that went through a million iterations as well.
Oh yeah, this place in particular, the very exit, had a double wall run to get out at one point, and it was so difficult that even our producer who was demoing this had to practice a whole lot to make sure that she could nail that every time.
Me and Sarah Jansson, who was the senior producer on the project, we went to San Francisco to demo the game for basically lots of people from within EA publishing and marketing, etc. And Sarah was on stage and presented the stuff. It's a bit like how we do it at places like E3 or something like that, but internally. And Sarah was presenting and I was playing, and I was pretty nervous, and I died. During the not actually the double wall run jump, but the jump through the window.
Right.
Which is one of those things when you demo something live, you don't want to die.
It very much depends on how it happens too. You never want to die. Sometimes I've heard people die, and it's actually taken as a positive because it shows you that it wasn't fully scripted.
No.
Like, you're actually running it live and you can die.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to cheat, falling off a ledge.
Yeah. Basically, any Battlefield demo I've been a part of making,
Yeah.
The demos have ran on what we call Jesus mode, which is basically God mode, but you still take damage, but you can't die.
Yeah, it's always half the damage, right? So it never reaches 0 or something.
I think no, it just never will go exactly to 0. It stops at 1.
Oh, okay.
You'll be dead in a month.
Yeah.
All's well that ends well. I got this.
If you skip the slow motion out of Elysium, you get killed. There's some bit of weird logic right at that point where it's
Anything having to do with Gabriel Kruger
supposed to be a
being
chase, but there's nothing really enforcing the chase.
I'm inclined to send it back to him.
Yeah.
So there's some weird logic there that basically detects you standing still and kills you. And that probably just goes wrong in that
You
case.
didn't think, Faith?
Yeah.
You never do. Look, I need to figure out what to do with
The
this. In
thing
meantime,
that
try
pissed
not to
a
beat
huge
yourself
amount
up,
of the
okay?
Mirror's Edge
I'll yell
community
once.
is that you removed the player's ability to hold weapons. Why did you do it? Because Mirror's Edge isn't a game about weapons. That's one of the design choices we made super early. You know, this is not going to be a game about weapons, and we stuck to that. And I'm 100% sure it's the right choice to make. There are tons of games where weapons is your main way of expressing yourself, and Mirror's Edge is about running and jumping. So that's the reason for that.
And I think a large part of the criticism against the first game was about the gunplay.
Yeah.
So it's clear that we couldn't make the same kind of gunplay again.
Yeah. No.
So what do? Either you put a ton of work into guns,
Yeah.
or you don't do guns. Those are the only two options if you want to make a good game. You can't not do either of those. So the choice to not do guns means you put that ton of effort into something else.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So if you would have gotten guns in this game, the game would be worse, quantifiably, in some other way.
Yeah. So I never understood about the scar in the guy's hand. It's a birthmark, and it didn't read as well as we wanted to. Later on, in a later flashback,
I got my hands on a
I assume it's okay for me to spoil parts of the story in this dev commentary. But later on, in a later flashback, Faith
We have a situation.
is stopped by a guard, and as a child, and she grabs that guard's gun and she shoots him, and he dies. And it's the same guard that actually saved her earlier. And the birthmark was there because, well, all the
How do you identify these non-human entities?
all guards in the glass look more or less the same, right?
Nice
So
one.
a birthmark on the hand.
I'm on my way.
You'd like it.
And that was.
Okay,
but
so
it-
here, this fan is what we were discussing before, and this whole mission is actually interesting because it didn't exist until very late.
No, that's right.
What was it that caused us to make this change?
Now, huh?
I can't recall.
For this mission,
It was out in the other part of downtown. It was out in the northern part of downtown first. And we had to do something to move it. And that basically left us with no way of getting into this part.
I'll wait for you here.
oh, I just have to comment about the poor enforcer on the bridge that you kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually a part of an earlier version of this mission script. He wasn't supposed to be there. He was, we were supposed to introduce enforcers much later. But the thing is, everybody just loved kicking that poor guy off the building. So he stayed.
Yeah, but that's also what happened, wasn't it? We changed the order the enemies were introduced.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we had to move some of the missions around. And we didn't have... It was so late in the process that we could not record new cutscene data.
Yeah,
which meant that this cutscene that you're about to see here doesn't exist.
No, you made it, right?
I made it by taking...
So what's happening?
It's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein it by taking... You can actually see it because his voice lip sync isn't that good. But we took some VO, we recorded a little bit of new VO, I think, and then
Someone should clamp down.
we cut that and pasted it together with some other completely unrelated animation data and made it work by having this camera sequence instead of looking at Nomad.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think it turns out well, and I think it's one of those things that unless you know about it, you don't see it.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, but when I there was some really there was a really bad solution in place for what we were gonna do because we didn't have a cutscene here, and so when I suggested this, everybody was super happy about it. I mean, like, I hope I can really pull this through and actually make it as well. Because it's such a weird thing to just make a cutscene out of nothing, where the rest of the game has really high quality cutscene work. But it worked out. Some of the camera sequences and stuff were made really late in this game.
Yeah.
Alright. I'm at the antenna now.
Firing at you. I'm really happy with the audio for all the weapons and the combat and stuff like that. I think
Shutting down.
the audio team did an amazing job. I mean, they always do an amazing job at DICE.
They are an amazing team.
Yeah, but I'm really happy about this because it's so different from Battlefield audio, but it's as good as. Oh, KSEC alert, or City which dev name City Alert?
City Alert. You probably hear that being said a few times.
Yeah, is also an interesting system. It's which we had issues. It's basically anything that is a system that is supposed to work whenever in the game and coexist with all other systems has to be very, very stable. I think eventually it is fairly stable, but we had some issues with it.
Yeah, I think one of the what you do when you develop the games, you take people who have been reviewers and you let them review the game without publishing the review. Just give it to you. They're called mock reviews. And one of the things we did was we did that on a build that had a really bad version of that system.
Yeah.
And it turned out extremely poor, as you might have guessed.
Yeah. It was completely broken there. Yeah.
It was so broken. And there was this disaster in the dev team. We had to do something about it. But it nearly it pulled down the score of the game in that review to something like 40, or it was ridiculous how high of an impact the system had when it was not working properly.
Because it's everywhere and all.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and people literally could not make their way to missions.
Yeah.
Because they got stuck in this and they couldn't get out of it and had to run back away from the mission.
Yeah.
And they kept repeating that.
Yeah. But we did some changes to it, and it turned out fairly well. I actually, what I did a lot during the late stages of the development was actually to trigger City Alert and to see, how long can I stay in City Alert without them, being caught or dying or etc. And that was actually, I had a lot of fun with that during the later stages of development when the system started working as it should.
Yeah. From my position, this was extremely scary because we're looking at the system and it really did not work. And we're wondering, how in the world are we going to make this work? And if it doesn't work, the game is unplayably bad.
Yeah.
So it's really scary, and I'm super happy we managed to make it all work at the end.